When I moved into the apartment, the landlord warned me about the extra room. He said it was sealed years ago, that it was for storage only, and I'd do best to ignore it. Naturally, that made me want to see it even more. The place itself wasn't much, an old pre-war building with creaky floors, yellowed walls, and that faint smell of dust and something metallic. The living room had a single window facing the alley. The kitchen was barely wide enough to turn around in, and the bedroom had the door. It was an ordinary white door, slightly warped with age, with a rusted keyhole and no handle on the outside. Every other door had brass knobs and peeling paint, but this one looked newer, like someone had replaced it recently. On my first night, I kept hearing something faint behind it, not scratching, not knocking, just this low hum, like the sound of an old refrigerator. When I pressed my ear to the wood, it vibrated ever so slightly. The next morning, I asked the landlord about it again. He just sighed and said, "It's better if you leave it alone, kid. People don't sleep well after opening that room." A week later, curiosity got the better of me. I'd just gotten home from work, exhausted, when I noticed the hum again, stronger this time, like a quiet electrical current running through the wall. I tried to ignore it, made some coffee, scrolled through my phone. But every few minutes I caught myself glancing toward that door. There was no light seeping through the crack, no draft, just that unnatural vibration. Finally, I pulled my desk lamp over, shining it right at the keyhole. It wasn't even dusty, in fact, it looked used. Something metallic gleamed inside, like the edge of another lock mechanism. I bent down closer and swore I heard something, whispering. Not words exactly, more like breathing through static. I stepped back fast. The air in the room felt heavier suddenly, like I'd opened a window to somewhere I shouldn't have. That night I dreamt I was standing in front of the door again. Only this time their asterisk was a handle. And when I turned it, I saw two silhouettes standing inside, facing me. When I woke up, my heart was still racing. The sun was up, but my bedroom felt dim, like the light didn't want to touch the walls. I went to check the door, half expecting to see something different, maybe a handle, maybe a crack. Instead, there was something else. A faint line of dust around the edges of the doorframe, except for one part near the floor. That section was clean, like someone had opened it recently. I knelt down and looked closer. That's when I noticed it. A small, folded photograph slipped halfway under the door. It was old, faded, black and white. Two people standing in front of the same door, a man and a woman, both smiling. On the back, in neat handwriting, it said, "Our first home, 1989. But what froze me completely was the man's face. He looked exactly like me. I didn't go to work that day. I couldn't. I just sat at my kitchen table with that photo in front of me, the edges curling slightly from age. Every few minutes, I'd glance toward the locked door again, trying to convince myself there was a logical explanation. Maybe I had a distant relative who looked like me. Maybe it was a coincidence. But the resemblance wasn't asterisk kind of asterisk similar. It was asterisk identical. Same jawline, same scar on the chin I got when I was 8, even the same faint dimple under my left eye. I flipped the photo again, tracing the handwriting. 1989. The landlord said the building was from the 1940s. That would make sense, except when I moved in, I'd seen my own lease papers, and the name of the previous tenant was blacked out completely. I decided to call the property office. When I asked who lived in Unit 3B before me, the woman on the phone paused too long before answering. Finally, she said, "Sir, there's no record of anyone renting 3B in the last 30 years. I laughed nervously. That can't be right, the place was listed last month. But she just said, "Then someone else made that listing," and hung up. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept the lights on, every single one of them. At around 2:17 a.m., the hum started again, louder than before, almost like it was inside my head. I grabbed my phone and started recording, holding the mic close to the door. At first it was just the same low vibration. Then faintly, a rhythm, two short pulses, one long, then again. It repeated over and over. When I played it back, I realized it wasn't random. It was Morse code. I searched online translating the sequence. It spelled one word, open. The lights flickered. Every hair on my arm stood up. And then knock, 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 3 slow knocks. From the other side, I froze, phone trembling in my hand. The knocks stopped, replaced by a sound I'll never forget, the metallic click of a key turning in the lock. The door creaked slightly, but didn't open all the way, just enough for me to see darkness behind it, like a void swallowing the sliver of hallway light. The hum stopped completely. The air turned still. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't listen. It felt like something was pulling me forward, quiet, invisible, patient. I took one step closer, then another. Inside the gap, I could barely make out a small room, or what used to be one. Torn wallpaper, collapsed shelves, dust thick as fog. And in the center, a single object on the floor, a metal box. It looked like an old safe. On the lid, written in the same handwriting as the photo, was my name. My full name. I knelt beside it, shaking, and when I touched it, the surface was asterisk warm. There was a keyhole, but no key. Before I could do anything else, the door behind me slammed shut with a deafening bang. I spun around, the handle had disappeared again. I wasn't sure whether I was inside the room, or the room was now inside asterisk me. The air inside that room was heavy, not dusty, not stale, just asterisk thick asterisk, like breathing through water. I pressed my palms to the door, but it wouldn't budge. The wall around it seemed solid, like it had fused shut. I turned back to the box. The warmth was fading now, replaced by a faint vibration, the same low hum I'd heard from outside. I tried to lift it, too heavy, but when I leaned closer I heard something faint inside, a whisper, not in words, more like asterisk breathing through fabric. I looked around. The shelves were lined with old photo frames, all empty. No glass, no pictures, just the outlines where photographs used to be. One by one I flipped them over. On the back of each was a year written in pencil, 1989, 1990, 1991, all the way up to the current year. And the last frame, the one labeled 2025, still had a photo inside. It was of me, kneeling in front of the box. I stumbled back, the frame slipping from my hand and shattering on the floor. There was no way, it was impossible. I hadn't taken that picture. My phone was in my pocket, still recording. I pulled it out, hands shaking, and hit stop. The screen glitched for a moment before showing the video thumbnail. A black frame, then my reflection in the lens. I pressed play. For the first 30 seconds, it was just darkness and static. Then faintly, my voice, whispering something I didn't remember saying. "You have to close it before midnight. Don't let it finish the name." Then the screen froze. The audio warped into static again, followed by one clear sound. The metallic click of a lock, but this time it came from inside the box. I slowly turned toward it. The lid was trembling now, as if something inside was pushing upward, testing the air. I didn't want to open it. Every instinct screamed not to. But the humming grew stronger, turning into a low, rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. The temperature in the room dropped, and I could see my breath fog in the dark. I reached for the box again, this time pressing both hands on the lid. It was vibrating violently now, like something trapped inside was breathing. Then it stopped. Completely. For a long, frozen moment there was nothing. No sound, no movement. And then one soft click. The lid lifted on its own. Inside was another photo. This one wasn't old, it was fresh, glossy, still wet from development. It showed me sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the same asterisk photo I'd found under the door 2 days ago. Only, in this picture, there was someone standing asterisk behind me, a man with my face. I dropped the photo and staggered back, heart hammering so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. The man in the picture wasn't just a reflection, his expression was different. Colder, focused, like he was looking asterisk at me asterisk through the photograph. I scrambled for my phone again, trying to take a picture of the box, but the screen wouldn't focus. Everything came out warped, faces melting into streaks of static, as if the camera couldn't recognize what was real anymore. And then I noticed something new in the photo I dropped, faintly visible now under the dim light. Written across the bottom in the same handwriting as before, "Don't forget who you are." At that exact moment, I heard movement behind the wall, slow, dragging footsteps pacing along the length of the room, stopping right behind me. I froze. The sound was coming from the other side of the wall I thought led to my living room. And then I heard my own voice whisper through the plaster, "You were never supposed to come in." I pounded on the wall, yelling, "Who are you?" But the voice laughed my laugh. Low, tired, mocking. "It's not about who I am, it's about who you stopped being." The hum returned, deeper this time, shaking the floor. The photo frames rattled against the shelves. Dust fell from the ceiling like ash. I grabbed the box, desperate for answers, but the moment I touched it, the world flickered. The shelves disappeared. The wallpaper peeled itself back, revealing new walls, cleaner, brighter, familiar. I was standing in my living room again. The locked door was gone, and in its place a full-length mirror. My reflection looked back at me, but it wasn't following my movements. When I raised my hand, it stayed still. Then slowly it smiled. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The reflection didn't move, it just stood there, watching. Then from inside the glass, I saw the faint outline of the room I just left, the broken frames, the humming box, the darkness. It was still there. And my reflection reached out, pressing its palm against the inside of the glass. For a moment it looked pleading, scared even. Then its mouth moved. I couldn't hear the words, but I read them easily. "Switch places." I shook my head. "No, no, I'm done." But the reflection's face twisted, eyes going black, skin stretching like something underneath was trying to tear through. The lights flickered once, twice, and in the brief darkness I saw it step out of the mirror. Only it wasn't me anymore. It was older, sharper, wrong in every way that made it human. It stood there for a full minute, perfectly still, breathing, blinking, real. If not for the faint shimmer that rippled around its outline, I could have believed it was flesh and bone. Its eyes were darker versions of mine, and when it finally spoke, its voice sounded doubled, like someone whispering behind it in sync. "You finally opened it," it said softly. "Took you long enough." My mind was a blur of panic and disbelief. "What are you?" I demanded. "What's in that room?" It tilted its head, amused, like a teacher disappointed in a slow student. "Not what," it said. "Who, the one who stayed behind." The mirror behind it shimmered again, and I caught a glimpse, another version of me still trapped inside. He was pounding on the glass, silent, desperate. And in that instant I understood. That room wasn't a place. It was a threshold. The other me took a slow step forward, and I instinctively backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. "Why?" I stammered. "Why me?" "Because you left," he said. "You closed the door too soon. You walked away before the room could finish the exchange." He moved closer. The air around him shimmered, heat and cold colliding at once. "It's not your face you see in those photos," he whispered. "It's mine, the one who stayed when you ran." I tried to move toward the mirror to see if the one trapped inside was me or another illusion, but the reflection was gone now. Only darkness remained in the glass, and faintly the hum had returned, pulsing like a heartbeat. He smiled. "You think you're the real one, don't you?" Something in me snapped. I grabbed the nearest object, a lamp, and swung it at him. The lamp went right through him, crashing into the floor and shattering, sparks flying across the room. But the heat from those sparks made him flicker. For a split second his form distorted. I could see flashes of that room behind him, the shelves, the box, the endless dark. And my own face inside it, screaming soundlessly. He hissed, the edges of his body unraveling like smoke. "You can't destroy what you made." The hum became a roar, vibrating through the entire apartment. I fell to my knees, hands over my ears, as the mirror began to crack, spreading like veins of lightning. And through every fracture I saw hundreds of reflections, all me, all trapped, all pounding to get out. He leaned close, voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "One of us has to stay." The sound of shattering glass filled the room, not explosive, but slow, deliberate, like the world itself was fracturing in slow motion. Each crack in the mirror pulsed with light, and every pulse made the apartment tremble harder. I covered my head, shouting over the noise, "Stay where you are. You don't belong here." The figure laughed, his voice echoing from asterisk inside the cracks now. "That's what you said last time." I felt something warm trickle down my ear, blood maybe, or something worse. The light from the mirror grew blinding, and for an instant I saw every version asterisk of myself through it, hundreds, maybe thousands, all standing in identical rooms, all staring back at me. Some were older, some were younger, some were screaming silently, and then in unison they mouthed the same word: choose. The figure lunged forward, not walking, not stepping, just asterisk appearing asterisk inches from my face. The air around him bent and hissed. His voice wasn't one anymore. It was a chorus of my own, whispers layered over screams. "You opened the box, you crossed the line. Someone has to take the room back." I staggered backward, tripping over the broken lamp. My hand hit the photo, the one from the box, and suddenly I realized something. In that photo, there was another detail I'd missed. A faint outline, almost invisible, behind the two people smiling in front of the door. Someone standing just inside the shadows, watching. My throat tightened. I looked at the mirror again. My reflection was gone. Only the asterisk room asterisk was visible now, waiting, still humming softly. It was open again. The figure stopped moving. He looked at the mirror, then at me, almost tired. "It's not punishment," he said quietly. "It's symmetry." The humming was growing weaker. I felt it, the pull, the pressure, that invisible gravity between us. I crawled toward the mirror, every muscle in my body shaking. Inside, I could see the other me, trapped, terrified, pounding against the glass. And I knew what I had to do. I pressed my hand to the surface. It was freezing cold. The reflection matched my touch, palm to palm. Light flooded the room, white, sharp, endless. And then I was falling. When the light faded, I was standing in the other room again, the shelves, the dust, the box. The door was closed behind me. And through the keyhole I could see the other me, now free, standing where I had been. He looked at the door, smiled faintly, and whispered, "Thank you." For a long time I didn't move. The silence in the locked room wasn't empty anymore, it breathed. The hum was gone, replaced by the faint echo of a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I pressed my eye to the keyhole, but the glass was cloudy now. I could barely make out the world on the other side. Through the haze, I saw flashes of light, my old apartment, the broken lamp, the faint outline of the mirror now whole again. And him, the other me. He was walking around, touching things, breathing easily, living. When he turned toward the door for a moment, I thought he saw me. He placed his hand against the wood, and I felt the pressure from my side too, a quiet, shared heartbeat through the barrier. Then he whispered something so faint I could only guess the words. "Don't open it again." And just like that, the world on the other side faded into darkness. Days, or maybe hours, passed. Time didn't mean much in that room. There was no hunger, no thirst, no sleep. Only the pulse of the walls and the faint, steady vibration beneath the floorboards, like the heartbeat of the house itself. Eventually, I sat down beside the box again. It was cool to the touch now, lifeless. But when I opened it, there was something new inside, a photograph. Fresh, crisp, color this time. It was of him, the new me, living my life, smiling, free. And behind him, blurred just enough to make it uncertain, was the faint outline of me in the window's reflection. Watching, I don't scream anymore. I just listen. Sometimes, late in the silence, I hear the hum return, quiet, curious. And from the other side of the door, a whisper that feels like memory. "One of us always stays." The hum fades. The light disappears. And the room once again is locked.